All right, guys, Brad Pickett here, and this is our fifth video in the 5-part series of 5 mistakes that you must avoid if you want to hit your goals. So number 5 is like the graveyard for goals. If you do not have this, you are destined to failure. What is it? It's having a purpose. So the mistake is not having a purpose. And I know this is a subject that comes up a lot, but let me shed some new light on this for you guys. 95% of entrepreneurs don't have a purpose. How do I know that? My friend owns a consulting company, and it's in all different industries, and he did a poll on this. 95% of people, like if I ask you right now, what is your purpose? You won't, most likely you will not have an actual purpose. Now, why is this so important? This is actually everything, guys. This is putting a direction on all of your efforts, all of your focus, on your confronting, on your responsibility, on all the things we've talked about, on your suffering, on all the effort you're putting forward. This is the most important thing because it gives you direction. Imagine for a minute an airplane that takes off from the airport and has no idea where it's gonna land. Like, it just doesn't happen, right? Imagine a diesel freighter leaving China and not even knowing where it's going, like no destination, like doesn't even, like that just doesn't happen. All these pilots and the shipmaster or whatever, he knows exactly where he's going. They know where they're going. But in human life, like as humans, we just don't do that. Like we literally go out and we just do these squiggly lines, like a ship at sea without a rudder. And we're all guilty of it. And one of the biggest things is people are afraid to set a purpose. Now, I think that's because it seems like, this has to be something grandiose, like, I'm going to save all the children of Iraq or whatever, some huge purpose. Like I want it to be so big. I want to, I don't want to be pinned down by something silly. But guys, you can change your purpose at any time. And not having a purpose is the biggest mistake you can make, because that is also a choice. When you don't have a purpose, you're basically leading your life like a boat without a rudder out at sea. And you're basically just floating around, and you might be working hard, you might have efforts, but your efforts aren't coordinated. They're not coordinated into one place. And if you work with me in coaching, we coordinate every single piece of this into one thing, that one purpose that you're moving towards. And that is so important. All the things we've talked about in the previous 4 videos do not even work unless you have a purpose. The best thing about a purpose too is you can change it as you go. You can set a purpose. Maybe your purpose is to make $1 million. Or maybe your purpose is to help 1,000 people develop web pages, whatever it is. One of the best tips is to make sure your purpose helps other people first. That'll always help you, that it's a good purpose. And then number 2, just pick something. Just get started, because once you pick something and you start going towards that purpose, you start confronting your problems, you start embracing your suffering, you start taking responsibility for the things that are happening around you, and you start moving towards that purpose, you're gonna get a lot of data, you're gonna get a lot of feedback, and you might learn, well, maybe I wanna do this instead of that. And that's fine. A lot of times it'll just be a little tiny shift, like a 2-degree shift can make a huge difference in a 5-year window. So you can update your purpose as you go. So don't be afraid to pick something, guys. Even if you just pick the purpose of going to Burger King to get a Whopper, at least you're gonna get the Whopper, right? Like pick something, pick a purpose and go towards it. Because if you don't have that, well, actually think about it right now. If you don't have a purpose right now, think about how your efforts in the past, maybe they've kind of moved towards something, but then you put some effort over here and it was just kind of, if you were to blot those out on a map like as data points, you would realize really quickly that you're not focused. That's why purpose is super important, and it's one of those things that's often overlooked. But I can promise you, a man that is not on purpose is not going to reach his goals.